And we are following some breaking news at the NFL where Browns quarterback, I should say, Baker Mayfield has requested a trade. That has been confirmed by our NFL insider, Jonathan Joens, the former #1 overall draft pick. Has spent the first 4 seasons of his career there in Cleveland. ESPN reporting that Mayfield said the trade is, quote, in the mutual interest of both sides for us to move on. The relationship is too far gone to mend. 26-year-old Mayfield threw 17 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, and 14 games with the Browns last season. So let's welcome in our NFL insider, Jonathan Joens, with the very latest, confirming that Baker Mayfield has requested a trade out of Cleveland. Of course, a lot of this stemming from their interest in Deshaun Watson. What can you tell us about all of this, JJ?
So the Browns, I can go ahead and tell you, as you were speaking, I got a source confirming the Browns said no to this trade request. This is what I was tweeting about earlier today. Baker Mayfield, the Browns have known that this was going to happen. They've been dealing with Baker Mayfield since 2018. They did plenty of homework on him when he was back in college. It's not that Baker Mayfield has turned into a different person. He's always been a guy who is extremely sensitive to criticism, who has rabbit ears. We've known that. And so when they pursued Deshaun Watson and ultimately lost out on Deshaun Watson, as we all keep a close eye on which of the other 3 teams he ultimately will land at, they knew that this was going to upset Baker Mayfield. That was always part of the plan. They got that part. And now, sort of Baker Mayfield wants to use some public leverage. I'm going to request a trade. He had that quote to ESPN immediately. Well, the Cleveland Browns don't have to acquiesce, and they're not going to. There's no team out there in the NFL that needs a quarterback right now that has very much interest at all in Baker Mayfield. That's what I've been reporting for the past day. And so he can request a trade all he wants to. He can be upset all he wants to. He's on the 5th-year option there in Cleveland. Cleveland feels no need to get rid of Baker Mayfield because as they look out on the quarterback landscape, yes, Deshaun Watson would be an upgrade over Baker Mayfield on the field. There's no question about it. That's why they pursued Deshaun Watson, and they missed out on him. But trading for an injured Jimmy Garoppolo, trading for Jameis Winston coming off an ACL injury, trading for Marcus Mariota, signing a Marcus Mariota, who has had a number of injuries in his history. The Browns feel at this moment that Baker Mayfield gives them the best chance to win in 2022 out of all their options, and so they're not going to help accommodate a trade right now.
So we've seen quarterbacks in Baker Mayfield's class, other players, get those big contract extensions. As you mentioned, they're in the 5th year. Coming off, is he looking for leverage, as you mentioned, or does he genuinely want to get out of Cleveland?
Oh, he wants out. I don't think there's any question he wants out. He doesn't feel the love back from Cleveland, and so he's ready to, go elsewhere. And listen, the Cleveland Browns back at the Combine looked at his representation and said, he's our guy for 2022, but we evaluate the entire roster. Well, then they start pursuing Deshaun Watson, and it gets out there, and now it turns into a bit of a stink. And now Baker Reagan Mayfield decides to go on his notes app late at night and post this thank you sort of pseudo goodbye letter to Cleveland and its fans and the folks who stuck by him. So I get it. And again, this was always in the calculus. Really, it's arithmetic for the Cleveland Browns. They know and have known that he would be upset at their pursuit of Deshaun Watson. But ultimately, if they didn't land Watson, that they knew that Baker Mayfield would be under contract, and that because they don't play a game until after Labor Day, there's plenty of time to smooth things out. If there were a team out there right now, Amanda, who would be offering the Cleveland Browns a first-round pick, no question about it, for Baker Mayfield's services, and then the Browns could use that first-round pick to figure something out, life after Baker Mayfield, they might say yes to his trade request, and then they would send him to where that place would be. But that team doesn't exist right now. That trade offer or opportunity is only hypothetical, is not based in reality. And so because of that, it's easy for the Browns to say no.
Let's say that offer doesn't come. What happens now? He wants a trade. They say no.
Go to Uncle Phil. I mean, I really, they're going to have to just talk this out. And it's going to be ugly, and it's going to be toxic, and it's going to last for a long time. And this is going to be some drama that will drag past the draft, and maybe he doesn't report to a mini camp or an OTA or something, all the things that you can try to do to prove that you are not content, right? I don't remember Antonio Brown dyed his mustache blonde. Maybe Baker Mayfield's going to do that. Just let everybody know you want out. You can try all the stops, but right now, I'm telling you, the Cleveland Browns feel no need whatsoever to deal Baker Mayfield. And if they do, now they've lost out on Deshaun Watson, they've lost out on Baker Mayfield, and there's not a decent enough option at quarterback for them. They're not going to do that. They have him under contract. So right now, nothing's changing.
JJ, when it comes to pride, I mean, obviously that's an issue right now. If they do not get another trade option, if they cannot come to an request, I mean, how far can you see Baker Mayfield digging in his heels as the season approaches and we get closer to that?
Yeah, it's hard to keep your energy up for that long, right? And if you're a competitor and you want to get out there on the football field and prove folks wrong, even the team for whom you're playing, it's hard to keep that fire up. I think that we saw it even go back to last year with Aaron Rodgers on draft night when it was a foregone conclusion that he had played his last down for the Green Bay Packers. And then a couple months later, they work out a little contract restructure, and then he shows up. And then a few months later after the season, and in some cryptic notes, he winds up signing the deal that he just signed, 2 years averaging $62 million. It's really hard to keep that energy up. This is the point that I'm making. Even for someone who, on the record, Aaron Rodgers is a pretty, vindictive guy. He has a memory. And so can Baker Mayfield keep this energy up? Perhaps, but the Cleveland Browns, I'll tell you this, the Cleveland Browns, if they're going to hold on to Baker Mayfield right now, they're going to hold on to him through the draft when teams are going to go ahead and start solidifying their quarterback plans. And so if there's not an option for him right now, there certainly is not going to be an option for him after the draft. And then where are you going to go, Baker? You're not going to play? You're going to go be somebody's backup? It doesn't. That's the leverage that the Cleveland Browns right now hold. And so that's why, along with the fact that it's hard to keep that energy for a really long time, and right now we are in March and you got to make it all the way to September. I know the Cleveland Browns are banking on the fact that, hey, we'll be able to work this out. Cooler heads will prevail. It's just going to take a little bit of time.
Any chance that somebody comes forward and is offering them something for Baker?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, anything's possible under the sun, right? It could absolutely happen. A quarterback could unfortunately get injured. Teams could realize that maybe they don't like the guy that they have. Depending on what Deshaun Watson does, let's say he goes to Atlanta and that starts off a chain reaction, right? With Matt Ryan now having to go somewhere. And maybe Matt Ryan displaces a quarterback that we feel is already in place. Any of those things could happen. But as it stands right now, there is not a trade offer on the table for Baker Mayfield that would make the Cleveland Browns feel compelled to send him off.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.